Still starting. And we are live. It is, Sunday, June the 23rd, 2019. Welcome to my hangout. I'm Ben, and I am hanging out with the Lawrence Petross, artisan designer to the stars, and me.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome back. Busy man, busy man.
Yes, very. But it's good. It's all good.
Yeah. So if anybody in the chat here, if you have questions for myself or for Lawrence, tag away and we will definitely get to your question. And if we do miss it, please type it again. The last couple weeks, the chat has been crazy at times. And let's go through a quick roll call, because we like to do roll calls. We've got Terry's GG&G in the house, moderator to the stars. We have Craig Tomlinson, new to the channel. Welcome, Craig. Asking about GearFest. I did not attend GearFest this year. I went last year, and I'm definitely going back next year. I saw the coverage. I missed a good one this year. That was a good one. We had a lot of friends there, I would say. We got my lovely sister Amanda in the house. We've got some guy named Lawrence Petross Design. I think that's a bot. We got Mozzie himself tuning in from the UK. We've got Ben Henry. Great name. Oh, dear Lord. Quentin James is here and he's awake. But I bet he's not wearing pants. We've got Marsman tuning in. Always a pleasure, buddy. Brad Miller. Good to see you tuning in. Let's see. I'll be watching and listening. May not be able to comment. All good, Brad. You're here. And that's the important thing. We've got GP Page 2. Awesome. We have my brother Aaron. Good to see you. We had a 3-hour phone call yesterday. That was insane. Just shooting the breeze, talking gear. Next thing we know, 3 hours goes by. We've got the man, the legend, sometimes the myth, Will Varela. Good to see you. BC Rich 581. Robert Mexenberg from just up the highway. We've got JJ, my favorite Brit in the world. Good to see you, brother JJ. Yeah, let's see. Oh, Wilmar Niall Bond, if I said that correct. Hopefully I did. Welcome. Good to see you. Another new guy to the channel. Mickey Studelmeyer, always a pleasure. We've got Jasco Plumbing Supply out of Bronx, New York. We got some guy named Brian Cote, who I swear stalked me all around Cosmo Music Fest. No, just kidding, Brian. We've got Chris, Guitar Collector 12 in the house. John Parson Project, as always. Good to see you, sir. Fabulous Disaster. Have I been surfing? No, I just like to dress the part when it's hot out. Bill Mosley Music, Tone Hair. All the tone, all the hair, or all the hair and all the tone. Joe Hervey 84. And I think I'm caught up. Woo! Welcome one, welcome all. There we go. Oh, Bill Frost just jumped in. Hobo Roadie. Aloha. From Oregon, I believe. All right, I'm grabbing a drink after that.
You're winded.
I am. Yeah, it's good to see all these fine folks jumping in. Oh, here comes Phil with all the hashtags. Sweet. No mids, all the gain. Oh, wait, that's the metal zone. Hey, Danny Allen, Mike Cashel, tuning in from Alabama. Nice. Man, we're all over the place tonight. I love it. Yeah, let us know where y'all are tuning in from. I almost said y'all. I can use y'all. I spent enough time in the South. All right, Nathan says, I got to buy groceries real quick, and then I'll hop back on. Lawrence's pedals are the shit. Of course they are.
Why, thank you, Nathan.
Yes, and welcome, Nathan. I don't think I've seen your name in here before. Welcome. If you enjoy it, please subscribe. Aaron says, you convinced me to get a beer. Also, where do people pay for tickets to this gun show? Yeah, very small caliber, folks. Hey, Layla. Layla's Guitar Daddy, I should say. From Indiana. Nice. Spent some time in Indiana. It's been right about a year, because it would have been GearFest last year. Pete Hickson. Down south. Way down south. Yeah, like Australia south. Bill Frost is out of California. Nice, nice. So yes, busy man. Let me think. You've been probably still doing a slew of 87s and 74s. You're always going to be doing some 68s or 68 deluxes because that seems to be the most popular high profile I've seen lately. And then this new stuff coming down the pipe, the new Lost Dutchman pedal perhaps, which is international already, not by choice, just due to shipping, if we believe tracking numbers, right?
True. Well, I have no doubt it wound up in Heathrow for whatever reason today. So I shipped that thing in the hopes that you would have them by the time the live show, right?
Right.
That was the goal. And it didn't leave the U.S. until yesterday. So I shipped it on the 12th and didn't leave till yesterday. And then today it's in Heathrow. So I don't know.
Yeah. Somehow it went from Los Angeles to Heathrow, folks. That pedal's been on more of the world tour than I have. Hey, there's Crowbar. Good to see you. Crowbar came up in conversation the other day. Will Varela and I were mentioning him in our phone call. Will Varela, can Lawrence make a pedal that when I use, it says beware of ex-wives?
Well, does it have to actually say it verbally, or can it just like flash it on the front of the pedal?
Yeah, nice little warning light. Starts flashing faster as they get closer.
Proximity warning.
Yes, all good, Crowbar. All good. Very disappointed. I always pictured LPD as looking like the mad scientist from Young Frankenstein.
Well, I've got my I got rid of my radio face, and now I've got my video face on. So
yes. The hair and makeup department was working. You know, it's like when we set this up, you know, it's like my production team contacts his marketing team, which then had to get okay from the production team. And then it was all like, well, we got to pull him out of the lab. We got to do this, you know. Oh, yes. Hey, Rob212. Good to see you. Milt. Happy birthday to my good friend Milt. Everyone wish Milt T a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Milt.
I'm not going to say how old he is. If the pedal had a warning light, I'm sure they would be very helpful, Dale Palmer says. Nice. Very nice. Lots of happy birthdays in there. Okay, Milt said it. Yep, 55. BC Rich called by makeup and marketing team. Ben means his sister. Okay.
So Marsman's got a question for me.
Yeah.
You want me to answer that one?
Sure.
Okay, so he says, Lawrence, can the javelina be used as a clean boost only, or is that kind of defeating the purpose? The javelina has that slight gritty thing, light overdrive built in. So you can't, I mean, you could dial it back by using your guitar volume, but it's in there on purpose. So it's primarily just my goal with that one was to try to nail like into a clean Fender SRV. And then if you put it into a Marshall or something heavier, you get a little VH, little Van Halen out of it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Not too shabby at all. Oh, we got trouble. Brian Stewart showed up.
Uh-oh.
Look out. Who survived Sweetwater Gear Fest himself. More on that on Wednesday. Actually, Wednesday night, Brian Stewart is coming on along with Mitch Heyman, and we're going to do a recap of Sweetwater's Gear Fest. And I cannot pronounce the name, but you start with UM, so I'm just going to say Welcome. New name in the chat. Crowbar, yes. I did speak with Pete after his show today through email, and we may try something next week if needed. So I don't want to step out of line. That's his channel and stuff. But yes, I did. Unfortunately, Pete's been suffering from some trolls the last few weeks. Oh, upside down. Dude, that's awesome. That's brilliant. It's upside down if you look at it upside down. That is brilliant. But yes, I did. A bunch of you folks nominated me to moderate for Pete Thorne, and I did offer my services. Get Robert Baker back on? I will try. Robert is awfully busy himself. But I'll corner him at Summer NAMM if I see him, because he said he won't even be at Summer NAMM all the time.
Crowbar says he needs a pedal that will make him play authentic.
So it's got to be some weird thing where it can detect whatever notes played on the G string and make it slightly sharp.
Yeah. Well, I made one, but the body shape has been trademarked, so I can't release it.
Nice. It was actually a raid rather than trolls, Brian. That's where they'll have like 100 people watching a live stream, and then they'll find another live stream to all jump in and self-promote on to go back over to the other one. Like it's going to work. Like if you get 100 people jumping in here right now all saying, hey, go check out this other stream, nobody's going to go because it just looks like blatant spam. But I guess they figure it's any press is good press. Ah, okay. Will Vrilla ask, can I ask you? I suppose I could. What got you started to make pedals?
That's a good question. I was designing and building tube amps, and that's another long story how I got into that. But I was designing and building tube amps, and decided to basically kind of just port stuff over to the smaller platform, and started doing that, and making stuff for myself primarily, and then it's kind of the usual story, right? A couple of friends heard it, then they wanted one, built for them. Some of their friends heard it. Before I know it, I got a pedal company.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, and Crowbar explained I was mainly wanting a pedal that will snap my headstock when I step on it.
Definitely a possibility.
Sure.
I've got a couple of rather large cousins that we can hire them.
Phil Mosley. Hey, everybody, go check out Ben Coombs streaming now. Oh, wait, wrong chat.
Wrong chat.
Joe Hervey asks, any high gain pedals?
Yes. The 87 currently is about as high gain as I go. I'm not so into the crazy high gain stuff. Like I would never do anything like a Metal Zone. It's not, there's no, as long as the pedal can still you play a chord and you get all the notes in the chord, to me that's about as far as I'll go. Once it starts mushing out and you lose that definition, I don't know, I might have to call that the line. Right.
It was funny actually. When we were texting last night, I was sitting with my dad, and he's like, "So what kind of pedals does this guy do?" And I was like, overdrives, preamp, tributes, things like this. And he's like, "Oh yeah." And I was telling him about the Saguaro, and I was like, "You wouldn't believe it, Dad." I'm like, "This thing, I can run it at a 20 decibel boost. It dirties up. There is a tone shift, but I swear my note clarity gets better." And he looks at me and goes, "That's a damn good pedal." I was like, "I know."
Right?
The Gia is Mickey's new best friend.
Yeah.
Thank you, Philly G. Good to see you. Mid-cut, etc. What's the 87 do? It is your hot-rodded Marshall.
Yes. Yeah, green mode, it's got two channels. The green mode is like a hot-rodded 800. It'll do anything like a stock 800 to a hot-rodded 800. And then the red is like a Jose Arredondo modified plexi. So, yeah. It'll do high gain for, let's say, pre-1992 when the Rectifier came out. When the 5150 and the Rectifier came out, actually, it was the SLO that changed the game, but then those two kind of made it more commercially acceptable, and then everybody started doing those, and that's a different, right? More fizzy, more compressed, lots more saturation.
Right. Yeah, and now you got me wanting that 87. I can't wait even more because, as you said, Jose modded. I'm like, Dude, if I throw a rat in front of that too, that's McMorris hands down.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite pedals. I don't think it gets the love that it deserves just because it is so incredibly versatile.
Yeah.
It can do well, and I put a video up a while back of me just playing some Edge of Breakup clean stuff, and it's just, yeah, it'll do that great. It does mid gain stuff great. Yeah. So
And I would think those pedals, depending on the application, it's just as well to run it into the front of your amp or even run it into the effects return as your pure.
Yeah, it'll do both. Yeah, it'll do both, just depending on which amp you're running. Right, it really likes being in front of Fenders or anything flat. You can put it right into a power amp, effects return or anything like that. It does great because this is a full preamp.
Right.
Same with the 74. It's same thing.
Yeah, and it's the funny part about that. I started flirting with those ideas about a year and a half ago. I was talking with Richie, and I was just like, dude, preamp has a different breakup than distortion or just a quote-unquote straight overdrive. I was like, I'm really into stacking preamps. He's like, yeah, well, good luck with that. That's fun. And then all of a sudden, here we are a year and a half later, and I'm like, yes, I get to do that now. Oh, look out. We've got RJ Ronquillo in the chat.
Hey, RJ.
Good to see RJ. He survived Sweetwater as well. Missed it yesterday morning, bud, but I know you were busy. Not yet, Brian. Other than the fact that we know mine's in Heathrow or was at Heathrow earlier. Yeah, good to see RJ in here. Yes, so the Dutchman, we've referred to it. Let's let these folks know, which hopefully in the next week and a half I'll have a bloody video up on one.
It's well, I think my description that I put up on Instagram is probably nails it pretty good. It's what did I say? I have to remember. If a Timmy and a Plexi had a tantric sex love child and raised it in Arizona, that's the Lost Dutchman. So it's an overdrive, but it'll go from clean. It's got lots of headroom. The punch switch basically will take you from predominantly Timmy into the Plexi kind of thing. The bass control is pre-clipping, so you can actually even dial it in to where it gets kind of fuzzy if you want to. Yeah, it's a fun pedal. It's a fun pedal.
Very cool. And yes, Aaron, you'll get to play one. I'm planning on pretty much bringing all my Lawrence Petross pedals with me to Summer NAMM.
So BC Rich 581 is asking me, how long does it take to go from concept to production on a new pedal design, or does it vary widely? It does vary widely. It just depends on what I'm going for. It's designing a pedal to me is a lot like songwriting. Sometimes you just become the conduit and the divine speaks through you, right? And it just happens. You get this like amazing thing that takes like fewer hours than it actually should, and it turns out incredible. And then other times you work on a design and you think you've got it and you put it together and it just doesn't sound quite right, and you start tinkering with it in the direction that you think it should go, and it just doesn't come together. And it's like, it's like childbirth at that point where you've got like hours and hours and sometimes months. I've got a design that I've been working on for at least 2 years, still not ready yet. It's just not right. It's not ready to be born yet. So sure. It varies widely, but it just depends.
George Badar, or Bader, sorry if I mispronounced your name, George, and welcome. Just wondering if LPD pedals are available at any stores in Central Ontario or direct ship only. Right now, direct ship only, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah,
that is correct. Unless someone in Ontario wants to hit me up for a dealership.
Well, it can be arranged. I do happen to know a guy that owns 3 brick-and-mortar stores.
Yeah.
So, yes, and ironically enough, one of the guys that kind of the main pedal guys that works with them and is an influencer, we'll say, for the owner, he's been asking me. I was in the shop again this week. He's like, "Did you get the Petross stuff in yet?" I'm like, "Dude, when I get it, I'll bring it in so you can try them." So he's really anxious to try.
Nice.
Joe Hervey was asking if you've done a reverb pedal.
I did. I used to build a mini reverb, actually, in the mini enclosures. I was using the Belton brick, the 3H, and it just barely fit. I managed to shoehorn it in there just barely, but the pedal sounded amazingly good. It had two controls. One was the level versus the dry, and then the other was how large the room was. Everything was great. And then the manufacturer decided to change the enclosure size of the brick, and it no longer fit. So I had to discontinue it.
All right. Yeah. Philly G says RJ is the man when it comes to pedal demos. Yeah. Especially for the no talking, all playing. Especially for that, because I love how RJ will be fiddling around with various backing tracks. It's awesome. Quentin James was asking what he missed. We were just assuming you were not wearing pants, Quentin. That's what we figured, you know. Brian Stewart says Ben's basement pedal shop. Well, not in the basement. You don't want to go in the basement. This is a 150-year-old farmhouse. So, but we have the studio shop. So definitely, and depending on where you are, George, in Central Ontario, we could always meet up and you can try some of the stuff. Definitely. Let's see. Marsman asks, who do you have to do your testing before official release into production?
Generally, I do most of that myself. I do send stuff, like I'll send stuff to Ben so he can try it out and mess around with it. And I've got a couple other guys that I really trust their ears, that I know they're not yes men, we'll put it that way. You know, if I've got something that I'm not completely sold on, which that's usually I'm the first line of defense, we'll put it that way, right? So if I'm not completely sold on it, if I'm a little questionable on it, I'll send it to these guys and they'll tear it apart and give me feedback on it. But yeah, usually it doesn't leave my place until it's 99% there.
Right. Right. Quentin confirms he is, in fact, not wearing pants.
Excellent.
Yeah, excellent. We love that, buddy. Yeah. Let's see here. And I was going to say on that, the fact that, you know, we talk anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week, you know, days, let alone multiple times in a day. I won't bullshit you. You know, if I hear something, I'm going to let you know flat out, because I don't want you to put out something that may come back. Right.
Right.
Hey, Mike is himself. Good to see you out of the Chicago area. So yes, definitely. There's a handful of guys, which throws me off too. Like you had sent me links to some videos there a few weeks ago. And when the video got actually released on YouTube, it threw me off because it showed it like it was uploaded an hour earlier and it showed as watched on my page. And I'm like, I haven't watched any videos today. And then I went, oh, wait a minute. I saw that video a couple of weeks ago. Oh, okay.
Yeah, occasionally I'll send out links to the inner circle to get some feedback on and see what everybody thinks.
Yeah. So if somebody happens to be in the chat or whatever, and if you notice some of your videos have a higher view count and you haven't published it yet, there we go. And I think I saw Crowbar mention something related to the Lost Dutchman. He said, so it sounds like tarantula sex?
Maybe.
Oh, I love Crowbar. Don't ever change, buddy. Don't ever change. Aaron asked, Closet Klon LPD, or closest, I assume you mean. Yeah, the Saguaro is a Klon base, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do a full-on clone many, many years ago. And then, through interacting with lots of musicians, you realize how they use these things. And so that's kind of what went into the Saguaro. It's like that pedal is how most people use the Klon. You know, just kind of a semi-dirty, very, I don't know, volume boost. Yeah.
Yep.
More than anything.
Exactly. Yeah. That I use one. Yeah, like a clone with the gain at 50%, and that's my quote unquote clean tone. Let's see. Quentin. So, oh, geez. Should I proofread this first? He says, remind people to use batteries in their pedals or active pickups to unplug them when not in use. Correct. Although I think the preamp in my Telly automatically turns off because I haven't replaced that battery in 2 bands. I think it's been in there for 3 years.
That'd be a nice feature. They should implement that more. It's not too terribly difficult to do.
Yeah. Let's see. Denny says, does Lawrence create his circuit designs with a computer program or pencil and paper?
Both, actually. If I just have a rough idea, I'll sketch it out on a piece of paper, just like basic blocks, circuit blocks. But I use the software that I use is ancient too. I wish there was a better. I started using it when I was designing tube amps and got used to it. And now it carries over, and it's what is it? It's Circuit Maker 2000 or something like that. I don't know. It's been out of existence for probably 20 years now. Okay. Still works on my computer. Thank God.
I want to welcome Jimmy Biter and Jason Wade, the man himself, who I get to meet up with at Summer NAMM as well. Jimmy asked what amp you use when testing your pedals.
That's great. So I take the I've done a lot of recording mixing, so I take that kind of approach. I've got let me see if I can swing out of the way if you can see it. Maybe you can't. Oh, no, where's it at? Is it on this side? Right over here in the corner, I think you can see, is there's this little crate, GFX 20. That's the, that's kind of my, if it sounds good on that, it'll sound good on anything. And then after I run it through that, I've got a hand-built tube amp that I built for myself, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, that it's 3-channel that I run it through and make sure it sounds good. It's got a Fender channel, JSIM 800 channel, and then basically a Jose Arredondo modded plexi channel. And then I run it through all of those, and if it sounds good on those, plus the crate, it's pretty much a winner all around. So
sure,
that's what I use for testing. And the little crate obviously is solid state, and then the one that I built for myself is tube. So hit all the formats if you can, right?
Perfect. Brad Miller says he loves his 74, great 70s tone, perfect for Zeppelin and Thin Lizzy, etc. You're making me drool. I'm not going to sleep Tuesday night, and the mail better not be delayed anymore this week.
Brian Crowbar asked one. Can I get? Is that right? Sorry. So Crowbar asks, when you lower the gain on the 87, can it approximate the 68? And I would have to say no on that. The issue becomes that the 87 is quite a bit more aggressively voiced than the 68 is. And because of where it does its frequency shaping, just moving the tone controls around won't get you the same thing, unfortunately.
Hey,
otherwise, I would just do the 87, right?
Right. Welcome, Janice. Let's see here. I'm going up and down the chat, folks. Let's see. Layla's Guitar Daddy. What's your favorite cheap/inexpensive pedal? Any specific brand or anything that you're like, you know what, that's decent?
Yeah, there are the Chinese clones sound okay for the 3 hours that they live. They're pretty much single-use pedals. Sometimes you can get a couple weeks out of them, but they just don't hold up very good. But most of them are clones anyway. So, favorite inexpensive. You can't go wrong with a Boss Blues Driver. That's just a wonderful pedal. That's great. Or hey, even less expensive, The Boss SD1. It's one of my favorite cheap pedals of all time. It's just fantastic.
Sure. Let's see. Will says, can you ask Lawrence if ever while making a new pedal ever by mistake turned out to be something he really liked as opposed to the pedal you intended it to be?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. That's I was talking with a student just yesterday about this in regards to when you're writing music. Happy accidents are some of the best creative things that I think I've found, right? Because I think it's not necessarily an accident. I think it's your subconscious doing an end around on your conscious, right? It's like your conscious mind is going, nope, it needs to be this way, right? It's all the analytical mind's in play, and it's like, nope, it needs to be this way. And then the subconscious mind goes, whoops, we made a mistake. And then the conscious mind goes, hey, wait a minute, that was kind of cool. Let's do that again. And so, yeah, that actually happens all the time.
Nice.
Right? Like one of the best examples of that, I think, is Mike Soldano saying when he was, I heard him say this in an interview once, and then I think he may have backtracked on it a little bit because whatever. But the 39K resistor that he put into the cathode resistor on his amps that make his amps, the cold clipper stage that make his amps sound the way that they do, and therefore led to the 5150 and to the dual rectifier, because both of those amps are clones of the SLO, was a mistake. It was supposed to be 3.9K, and he put in a 39K by mistake, and it sounded wonderful. And so the rest is history.
Sure.
Yeah, that happens quite frequently where, maybe you don't make a mistake in values. Maybe I've had pedals or circuits that I put together on the breadboard where I accidentally, because the holes are really small where you put the component leads in, have the lead go into the wrong hole. And so it's connected to the wrong part of the circuit and play through it. And, it sounds great. And not even realize until I stopped, 2 weeks later after the testing to draw out the circuit to what it was, and then go, wow, that wasn't where that was supposed to go. But hey, it sounded good, so we'll keep it.
Sure, exactly. Yeah. Hey, Eric C., welcome. Hey, Ben and LPT, was wondering what is the best metal distortion pedals?
Well, metal's kind of a big genre with many subgenres, so you might have to get a little more detailed with that.
Yeah, I would think like a high gain pedal. Like if I'm just thinking pure, the Rev stuff, they seem to be doing it quite well. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, Rev stuff's good. The 3 and the 4, right? Because the 2 is their lower gain version.
Right.
That one just came out. Yeah, that's good. The Friedman.
Yeah.
Dirty Shirley and the BEOD, both of those are great. I think I like the Dirty Shirley better than the BEOD. It's less fizzy. It's got the mid control, although I haven't played the deluxe yet. So the 2-channel one, I haven't done that one yet. Trying to think of good, because metal can go so horribly wrong with when you get into pedals, you end up with the Metal Zone or the MT2 or something.
Metal. It's
right.
Beast.
Yeah, the MXR 5150 pedal is actually quite good.
Yeah, actually, there's a really good one there. Yeah, I never even thought of that. Let's see. Jasco says the 68 drive is my always on pedal. Very nice.
Yes, very excellent.
He says, what made you go to a soft touch for the on-off switch? I love the pedal, just curious.
It's well, I won't call it a luxury, but it kind of is a luxury, right? If you've got something that doesn't go clunk on stage, like a lot of guys will play these pedals in like the church setting where they're the sermon's being given and it's actually pretty quiet on stage, and they'll be setting up their pedals for the next song. And if you've got switches that click on a hollow stage, there's a pretty good clunk that happens through the microphones when you turn
Yeah.
those things on. So, you know,
And
I was
especially
kind
if
of,
it's an older church, which is designed for no amplification to begin with, so it's designed to amplify existing sound.
right, exactly. So that was one of the things that I thought about when I was designing it. The other is longevity. Latching switches have a lifespan of about a tenth of what non-latching momentary switches have. So they last longer. The only downfall is that you have to come up with an electronic latching circuit to go along with that switch because it's not going to latch.
Right.
So it involves additional engineering. Through building pedals, I would always have a lot of people come to me. It's like, hey, can I get that as a soft touch switcher? And then, you know, maybe they want to spend the same price for it or whatever. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way because I can't just put in a soft touch switch. I have to engineer a new circuit to do the electronic latching and you know, make sure that it's going to work. Can't just it's not just replacing the switch. So,
Right.
It was kind of twofold, right? Doing the keeping it quiet when you switch, because I always like the way soft touch switches feel, right?
Yep.
It's enough of a tactile response that you get, you know, what you need. You can kind of see. I still got lots of guys that don't like the soft touch switching stuff. They'd rather feel that clunk under their feet as, you know, part of.
Well, that used to be a sign of a good pedal, was how loud that crack was when you would turn them on and off.
Yeah, right.
And I want to welcome Matt Harrison. Good to see you. We were chatting in Phil McKnight's chat the other day. And Mike Rohde, good to see you. Aaron from Elvis Band says, a hidden drive gem I found is the Ibanez J9. Ever tried one? Very affordable in an orange TS9 enclosure.
I haven't tried that one. The J9, is that the... I wonder what circuit that is. I know that the distortion has kind of made a big comeback lately. People like that one. I may or may not be doing something like that. I can't say at this point.
Wilmar says his amp is dropping in volume while playing goes back and forth between loud and quiet. Would new tubes fix this? I have read so, or should I take it to a tech? I would say probably both, because that sounds like power tubes to me.
I agree. That's generally when power tubes start to get long in the tooth. That's what they do. You'll get that volume fluctuation. Depends on the amp, whether you can do it yourself or not. Not knowing what type of amp it is. If it's a Mesa Boogie, you can just replace the tubes, buy new tubes and replace the tubes with whatever color code they have or whatever color code you want. They say that they'll just all easily replace. But anything that needs to have the bias adjusted, you'll have to take it to a tech.
Yeah. Or read up a lot before attempting it. And I mean a lot. Hey, Eddie Van Haskell. So, let's see here. Good to see you. Mark Dillon. Danny Allen says, I put an extra piece of foam inside my soft touch switch to make it stiffer. Okay. Billy G has pedals that work, but the lights don't work.
That could be any number of things, actually.
Yeah.
Like it could be the LED. Yeah, the LED just stopped working. Could be something else with the problem. So I got another one. BC Rich 581 asks me, do I have a preference between 9-volt and 18-volt DC? Are they selected based on need for the sound or on a particular pedal? I design everything that I do at 9-volt just because that's the most common pedal voltage. And then I try to extend the voltage range out to 18 so that just to give the end user some options to try. Most often it does change the way it sounds and definitely the way that it feels. So it just, depends on the circuit. But in large part, I will try to stick with 9 volts when I design.
I love it. Welcome, 6-string Stanger. Just met him earlier today. I'm glad you made it, buddy. That's awesome. And I saw a few other people jumping in. Man, I swear everybody's jumping in tonight. Flat Frets, always a pleasure, buddy. Mark Dillon, Vincent Wiener, awesome. I think last time I checked, we had like 61 people watching. Not too shabby.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes. You're more than welcome, Wilmar. That's what we're here for. We try to answer these questions. And a lot of times, if I can't answer a question, I'll try to get the answer and forward it on the next show. If I remember, which I have a terrible memory. But I try.
So I think Aaron is chiming in with the J9 is a JFET tube screamer.
Okay.
So that means rather than having op amps in it, they do like what the blues driver does, which has got discrete op amps. They build them out with JFETs rather than put the standard chips in them. So a little different sound.
Okay. Very cool. I'll have to try that when I come over to your place, Aaron. And I said, well, okay, we got like 67 people watching. Awesome. Even better. Excellent. And there's Half Ace. Good to see you, sir. Wicked 133. Hello. Welcome.
So Marsman is saying that he runs his LPD Class A buffer at 18 volts, and it works fantastic. Yeah, that circuit's funny. You could actually probably run it down to 3 volts, and it'd still have plenty of headroom. It's kind of a cool design. I like that one a lot. But 18 volts, yeah, you've got. I don't know that you would ever make that thing clip, no matter what you put into the front end of it, at 18 volts. Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially at 18. Jesus. Thank you. Digging your content, brother. Six String Stanger says. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I got to check out your channel too. I looked at it briefly earlier when we started following each other. I was like, just on the cover page, I'm like, oh, great channel. All right, just going through here. Random comment from my sister. It's easy to be a good sister when your big brother isn't a jackass. Thanks. I think. And thank you, Terry. Posted the link to the merch. Thank you, folks. I had a record week on the old merch site. We sold 7 shirts and 2 hats. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it because that allows me to do things like go to NAMM to cover it, to then get more stuff and network and meet up with people and buy people beer. Your personal favorite guitar? That's a good question. Brian Stewart asked, your personal favorite guitar?
For me?
Yeah.
That's tough because it just depends on what I'm using it for. And, that's like asking, okay, what's your favorite song this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's I have a soft spot for Ibanez. It was my first real guitar. My first guitar that I bought for myself was a 1982 Ibanez Destroyer 2, I think, in metallic red.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I was always been a huge Def Leppard fan, so that
me too.
That, right? Yeah. Currently, I'm really into. I've got a couple of RGA 121s that I picked up used, and they are just phenomenal instruments. The neck is quite a bit chunkier than like the. I've also got an RG 560. That was my first RG that I bought. That super thin, really thin neck. The RGAs are much bulkier than that. 5-piece neck. Mahogany body with a maple cap, carved maple cap. Just phenomenal guitars. I constantly on Reverb trying to find good used ones just because, and I've got 2. I've got one of the violin finish and then one of the the crushed ruby finish. And I'd love to get a maple to kind of round it out.
Oh yeah,
just the maple finish. That would be cool. Yeah, love those. Right. My custom shop Telly. Let me see if I can pull. Well, that's never a good thing. Here, let's try that again. So
he said
you guys can
custom
see this
shop
one.
Telly and the world crashed, folks.
Right? Look at that. So it's what happens when the headphones aren't long enough. Been playing that one quite a lot lately.
Nice. I'll never fault a guy for playing a Telly.
Nope. Love it. Yeah, those are my two recently. I put new pickups in my Les Paul, and so it's getting a little bit more action these days, which is always good. It deserves it.
Always. Speaking of it, I have some new pickups coming in the next couple of weeks to test and should be released soon. Doing a set of 53 Telly pickups, which are going to be called the Vintage Workhorse set, and a set of humbuckers in double cream binding, or covers if you prefer, which is going to be the Canuck Bucker set.
Nice.
Yeah. Kind of a take on, well, it is pretty much a takeoff of a DiMarzio Super Distortion. You know, just a slightly overwound, so 8.5, 9K output on the bridge, and the double cream, because why not? I figure, you know, what's DiMarzio going to do? Sue me and I get a bunch of press?
Right? Well, you can't go wrong with Super Distortion. That's a great pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great pickup. So Jason Wade sent me one a while back. He says, do you still tinker with actual amp building or strictly pedals now? If I get any downtime that I'm not designing pedals, I will. I've got a tube platform that I'm constantly trying stuff on, that I mess around with, and I probably got enough tube designs that I could be releasing tube product every 6 months for amps that would keep me going for a couple of years. But yeah, that's not going to happen for a while.
Let's see. My sister's trying to run point here, clarifying. Yes, she is not my wife. She is my sister, even if we did live in Kentucky. Brad Miller asks if you have any plans to post any of your old music. You know what he's talking about.
Possibly, if I get time. Right? That's always the deal. And it's, you can find it if you look for it. I think it's out there. I think he's talking about the Bone Dust stuff, but I'm not for sure. Yeah, have a look. I think it's out there on the web, but maybe not. If not, I should probably find a place to put it up on Bandcamp or something like that. Paul
Beelan says, good recovery, worth it to see the Telly. And welcome, Paul. If I'm pronouncing your name right, P-O-L, I assume it's Paul. Well, we've got a lot of new names in here. This is great, guys. Thank you. So if you're new and not subscribed, please subscribe. I'll keep saying that because I'm trying to hit 1,250 subs by NAMM. And we're getting there. We're getting there, folks, all because of you guys. And there's John Moronic. Good to see you. Awesome.
So Metalhead Hippie asks, can you use Variac in your pedals? Any pedal or only a certain kind? It depends on the pedal. So the 68 Deluxe actually has a brownout feature that I designed into it. And if the voltage drops below 7 volts, it'll actually go into true bypass mode. So it just basically bypasses signal through. So, if you're getting a low voltage situation and, at a club or whatever, it says, okay, it's not me, it's something else.
Right.
Yeah. But fuzzes, anything that doesn't have, like the standard 68 doesn't have that. You can run that voltage low and get, generally you'll get more clipping, less headroom. Depends on fuzzes. You get some really cool effects out of it. You can get some gating because it actually ends up changing the bias of the transistors in the fuzz. So you can get gating. You can get some trumpet-like sounds out of it. That's the fuzzes and lower voltage tend to sound really, really cool.
Interesting. Speaking of which, George is asking, can you explain about using pedals with low voltage sag, uses, benefits? I think we kind of covered that in a sense.
Yeah, pretty much. It's for...
the easy answer is you can get some cool sounds.
Yes, yeah, and the sag stuff usually is primarily with fuzz pedals.
Let's see, Jimmy Biter, active or passive EQs on your gain pedals? Do you have a preference?
I tend to, if I'm aiming at an amp like the 68 or the 87 or the 74, I'm gonna run out of numbers pretty soon, I have a feeling. Those are all passive because that's what the amps have, and those tone controls tend to feel very differently and behave very differently than active tone controls. Active tone controls don't tend to interact as much. The individual controls interact with each other as passive do. So, but we're kind of used to hearing that. So it just depends. I've got another pedal. It's the Seiko, SAKOT, which actually stands for the Swiss Army knife of tone. Yes, it started off life as just being a boost pedal, but then it became a boost pedal with an active pickup that you can boost or cut, treble and bass, which by default allows you to also get a mid boost or a mid cut. That has you can either run it completely clean, or it's got a tube mode on it that allows you to kind of like dial in a little bit of dirt. It's more, the tube mode on that one is more like a studio tube preamp would be, as opposed to what we like to hear as guitar players being like a tube,
right,
in a guitar amp or something like that.
Hey, Mitch Heyman, good to see you. Will Varela is asking if making pedals is your main gig, or do you do other stuff as well?
Currently it occupies about, well, it was half, but now it's getting up to about 70%. So I do, what I do is I build pedals during the day, and then I go, I've got a small teaching academy that I have had for about 25 years so I teach in the evenings, 3 to 8-ish every evening, and then Saturday all day. And I'm still doing that, and I don't know that I could ever give that up. I really love teaching. It's a wonderful thing. So, but the pedal biz has definitely taken over a huge chunk of that, and is probably 70% now.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. The teaching's very cool. I just got back into doing a bit of teaching myself, and it's so rewarding on so many levels. Hey, PJ. Says Canuck Bucker, that's a good name. Thank you. We actually came up with that, I think last August was the original idea for the design. And then we got some delays and stuff as Travis, my builder, had some other stuff to do. He got commissioned to build some guitars for some fairly high-profile Canadian musicians. And then I got a message because he's coming to visit in a couple of weeks. What are the specs on your humbucker again? I was like, well, what's up? He's like, well, I built them, but then he took them over to a local music store, and they were on display, and the guy went and sold them. So I don't even get the first ones ever made. Somebody out in Victoria, British Columbia, has the first ever set of Canuck Buckers. Okay. Aaron says, is distribution your next step before world domination?
Distribution. Yeah, maybe. I like doing the direct marketing thing currently, because I'm able to interact directly with the players, with the people who are buying the pedals. I really enjoy that. I wish, actually, my next step theoretically would be to clone myself, so I could be able to do it all myself and still get all the enjoyment out of it and not have to change anything. Still be able to take care of all of the stuff myself. But probably, Aaron, probably going to have to look into building in more dealerships and just to be able to get it out to more people.
Right.
People like to try things, which is good. And right now, unless you're in Nashville or Mesa, it's kind of hard to try an LPD pedal.
Right.
I do try to kind of offset that a little bit by having a good return policy if you buy direct. Yeah, I totally get that.
Whereabouts in Nashville are they available?
Carter Vintage Guitar has them.
Okay. Well, maybe I won't box all of mine up to bring down. I will be taking some for Aaron to try for sure, though. So, otherwise, I don't think he'd give me a lift down to Nashville. Oh, you gonna bring the pedals? Forget it.
Bribery.
Let's see. Will Varela is asking if the Conical Heads t-shirts are being made. Yes, I'm working on a design. It's not complete yet. I haven't exactly figured out beyond just basic writing if I want to incorporate some design as well. So I'm working on it. They should be out soon enough. And I'm going to do a couple. Like there'll be, I'm a Conical Head or just Conical Head for life, stuff like that. So yes.
So Brad Miller is asking me, speaking of tubes, any plans or have you tried to build a tube-based pedal? I have. That was one of the earliest things that I did when I went over to pedals was developing a power supply so they would run it, between 3 and 350 volts. Trying to make everything fit inside the box and manage heat. All of the good things come along with tubes. The biggest thing that I ran into, why I didn't move forward with that, was safety. When you're putting 300 volts into a box that people are going to stomp on and spill beer into and things like that, I worry about that. So if I could find a way to, or someone to give me guidance on a way to not to make them safe. I can make them safe. The thing is making them industry standard safe. So
right.
So that they pass all of that kind of thing. Because I've got there's 2 models out that I built as prototypes that that a couple of people have that both are in studios actually. They use them frequently. Yeah.
Nice. And I've already spilled beer on the Swaro, so I can tell you it's beer proof.
Yeah.
If you remember that end of the one live stream, the Earthquaker did not fare as well.
No. Yeah, I worked pretty hard on making them live show proof, right? I mean, I was a touring musician for 15, 20 years. So I know the abuse those things take. And like a lot of guys will just have the LED poke through the top of the enclosure, and mine, I use a light pipe so that it's all sealed. So so yeah, you can douse them pretty good, and they'll just keep on ticking.
Nice. See, Brian Stewart says, "Who returns a LPD pedal?" And then Jason Wade agrees. He's like, "Nobody." And then Crowbar says, "One of the 4 that gave the thumbs down." Well, you see, those 4 with thumbs down are jealous folks. It's probably Robert Keeley, Brian Wampler, Josh Scott, John Kuzak. No. Which, if you're watching, guys, hello.
Yeah, hey, really, welcome in. Occasionally, I'll get them back. Not very often, which I'm actually surprised about. But I do try to do a lot of work with my customers beforehand so that they know what to expect. I know what they're looking for, so I can guide them to the correct product. And because it's all about people being happy and inspired. That's the whole deal.
Let's see, Will says, "What the hell? Now that's the next new T-shirt." And proof. Yeah. Thanks. Carter Zeitz, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, yes, Josh Scott is a really good person. I agree. I even stole fries off of his plate at the food trucks at NAMM. Hey, wow, thanks, Jason. Okay, the last time I did this, Amanda called me a cat's ass. Well, let's see if she does again. Thank you very much, Jason. I really appreciate it.
So Brian Stewart is asking to ask me if they're bourbon proof. What proof are they good up to? I've actually spilled 100 proof on it, and it seemed to survive just fine. Smelled great afterwards too.
Nice. William De Silva, welcome, buddy. Thank you for tuning in. Any more Gias available or no?
Nope, they are sold out. They are sold out. And unfortunately, I would make more. Trust me, I would make more because that's a very popular pedal. But the chip that I based it on has been, well, here's the story. So 20 years ago, I bought the chips that pedal is built on, and they sat in a drawer. And then I discovered them a couple years ago and decided I had to make a decision. Looked them up, saw that they'd been obsolete for a long, long time, and so looked them up on eBay. Saw what they were bringing, and it was 10 times what I paid for them. So I had to make a decision: do I sell them on eBay for that kind of profit, or make something musical out of them? And well, you can see the end of the story because the Gila came about. So that's what I did. But I only had 30 of the chips. So I made 30 pedals, and that's it.
Okay, fair enough. I figured it was something like that. There we go. Just a little housework since my sister disappeared. Boom. Anyone buy an eBay build your own kit? I have not. I thought about it a couple times, but I have not.
I think most of the pedal kits are probably okay. I think they come with horrible directions to put them together. But other than that, I think the parts are fine. It's not like the guitar kits. The guitar kits can be kind of shady, but I think the pedal kits are fine. They just don't come with good documentation. A great place to go if you're just getting into building and want to do a kit is Build Your Own Clone. They're fantastic documentation, great guys. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Crowbar was asking what pedal that was. That was the Gia pedal. And Hobo Roadie says, could be clumsy people doing thumbs down as well. I am totally at war with this phone. Fair enough. Yeah, that is always a possibility. Jason, what the hell does that mean? You're the cat's ass. You're the man. That's it. Oh, or apparently there's my sister. You're the tiger's purr. Nice, nice. Brian Stewart, I was thinking about getting a StewMac kit. Well, if you want a boutique kit, Lawrence will just throw all the parts in a box and send it to you. Some assembly required, I'm sure. Saves him from having to do it all. No warranty. I haven't seen Brian solder, but no warranty if you're putting it together. That's right, like the bee's knees upside down says. Nah, it's never bad, Jason. You're definitely one of the good guys. I see eBay ones for 18 to 25 bucks. Well, Joe, like a lot of things in life, you get what you pay for. Metalhead Hippie, not to rain on Lawrence's parade. Good luck, he's in Arizona. There is no rain. But do you make anything like the Stomp Underfoot Demogorgon fuzz?
I don't. For a long time, I stayed out of the fuzz game just because there are so many of them out there. And to be quite honest, I didn't understand the fuzz thing. It took me a little bit of time to kind of get to where I understood the fuzz thing. But I totally do now. There's the reason there are so many different fuzzes is because there are so many different fuzz players. Guys, they're just a wide variety of things that people like. And I don't have anything that does that kind of thing. I have experimented with like some like the EQD data corruptor kind of things that does it just goes crazy. But so far it hasn't really been it hasn't manifested itself. So I don't yet.
Okay. Brian Stewart says, can you imagine the phone calls to Lawrence? It'd be faster for him to just build it for me. Just on speed dial right there. Yeah, it's me again. You're more than welcome, Jason. You're definitely one of the good guys. Let's see. Terry's back. Had to take care of his mother. That's no worries, buddy. Metalhead Hippies into Stoner Rock. Never would have guessed that based off your screen name, bud. And everyone should check out Metalhead Hippie as well. He's going to get back into doing some videos soon. So, what guitar is used for testing pedals? I would say a variety.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. My go-to is the violin finish RGA 121. It's got a Eric Johnson neck humbucker and a Andy Timmons bridge humbucker. That's the one that I start with. And then the Telly that caused my iPad to flip on its face, that one. And then that kind of nails down, the single coil thing and the humbucker thing. So I'll use those unless I'm going for a specific thing. Like early on in the 68 development, I was really going for the Andy Timmons tone off of Resolution, trying to be able to do that plus a lot more. But that one, so the Andy Timmons pickup got used a lot for that one.
Right on. Hello to Dwight Bailey. Good to see you, sir. Will Varela asks how you come up with the names of your pedals. He says, "Can Ben pronounce this? If not, that's the name."
That's usually my that's usually my go-to. It's like, is Ben going to be able to pronounce this?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, right. So the naming, there's actually I put quite a lot of thought into how to name the pedals because I like to build in a couple of levels of reference with a lot of the stuff that I do. Just if nothing else, to keep you guys entertained when you're like trying to figure out, okay, what's this thing? What's it mean? Obviously, the local pedals like the Lost Dutchman, the Gila, the Saguaro, the Choya, those are easy because the Javelina, those are easy because those are local things, right? That's just the local reference. But say something like the SEP field generator, which is going to be coming out probably in the fall. That's a Douglas Adams reference. I don't know if you guys are Douglas Adams fans or not, but he did the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy trilogy, which turned into be 5 or 6 books. So the SEP field is basically it's a field that you can put over something that you don't want anyone to see, right? Essentially, it becomes someone else's problem. And the theory is that people don't see things that are someone else's problem, right? It just goes away. Well, the SEP field generator is a compressor, which to guitar players makes all of your problems somebody else's, right?
Right.
You got bad, pick attack, doesn't it's uneven or whatever. Use the SEP field generator. Your sustain isn't good because your guitar doesn't whatever, right? Use the SEP field generator. So I try to build that into the names, right? The ones that aren't so obvious, like right. the one. Oh, here's so the one that's coming up. This one. Let me see if I can put it up here so you can see it. So it's just got a lemon on it, but it's a lemon grenade, right? So the color of the enclosure, as well as the lemon, that's all goes into right. So that pedal's called the Combustible Lemons, and it's the Combustible Lemons is a reference to one of my favorite video games, Portal. So you guys can look that one up if you want to. The other thing is the pedal itself is an early Led Zeppelin pedal. So I tried to get a tangerine colored enclosure, and then obviously the lemons from the Lemon Song, right? So I try to go a couple of levels on the naming just to keep things interesting.
Right. Exactly. Hey, Blank Palette. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, a few people are getting that. Yeah, someone else's problems. Hitchhiker's Guide. I like it. Crowbar, when are you coming out with the Babelfish?
The Babelfish?
Babelfish.
The Babelfish would be an interesting pedal. No matter what you plugged into it, it would sound the same.
Yeah. So what do you need for Blackline on this tour? I don't care. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm using the Babelfish. Doesn't matter.
Yes, Will. He says, so according to Lawrence, some of his pedals are named for local areas. So if he lived in Canada, you could name it the A pedal. Yeah, pretty much. Same idea.
We could call it the moose drool.
Yeah. Metalhead hippie. I'm a musical hodgepodgery enigma. I love that. Ah, okay. Brian is asking, in case I missed it, Lawrence Petross analog delay still on the drawing board?
Still on the drawing board, yes. There's a couple of issues with it that it's not necessarily bad things, but it comes down to whether or not it's going to be up to snuff for my quality. I've got, I want the customer experience to be the best that it can possibly be. So rather than having to explain why a pedal does some little quirk that I'm not happy with, I just won't release it. So still working on it.
There we go. Crowbar, the poutine drive. Nice. It'd have to be a thick tone. People come up with various, okay. Interesting. Worth the wait, Brian says. Of course it is. Love it here. So yes, keep those questions. Man, we've had some awesome questions and some awesome people coming in here. Hey, Brax Stubblefield, I missed you earlier. Hobo Roadie says, very good design on it. Anasazi.
Thank you. The Anasazi it's got a special place with me. And I always worried about if people were going to get it. RJ's going to come out with a video of that one probably in a month or so, something like that. It's basically a clean boost. It might, if you hit it with hot pickups, it might get a little bit crunchy, but it's basically a clean boost, but it's a filtered boost. So anything below 300 hertz, it tends to roll off a little bit. So it's really great for getting rid of the mud, like neck pickups that tend to be a little bit woolly. That does a fantastic job with that. Any of the gent guys will love that pedal because you can drop it in front of your favorite high gain amp and it just gets rid of all of the mud. Yeah, it's a very cool.
And he would be a good guy to demo that. Come to think of it, yeah. I like that.
It's a good pedal. I like that pedal.
Terry says, when is the Pac Can or the Donkey Clon coming out? Donkey Clon's a good name. Not gonna lie, I like that.
May have to use that.
A detuner or a tremolo pedal?
No detuner. So I have this thing about time-based effects. In my experience as a player and a touring musician, as well as a designer, I think time-based effects belong in the digital domain. Some of the best sounds that I've heard from delays and choruses, flangers, detuners, pitch effects, have all been digital. Not like earliest version of anything is not so good, but like the stuff that they're nailing in the last 10 years is really good stuff for any of the time-based effects. So to put it in the analog domain seems like a step backwards to me. So I leave that to the digital guys.
Right. And we have discussed a lot of it to make a good analog one. Those parts just don't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's true. And if you can find them, they're outrageously expensive. So,
hey, Dan in New Jersey, welcome. Good to see you. Metalhead Hippie says, what competitor pedals do you like? Rev, Wampler, any others?
Absolutely none of them. I'm kidding. Wampler stuff is good. I like Brian. Brian's a nice guy. And he makes some cool pedals. Brian was on the do-it-yourself forums way back in the day when I was in there first starting out, and he's a good guy. Brian's a good guy. The Rev stuff is I don't know the guys themselves, but from what I've heard, they're pretty cool. Obviously, well, maybe you guys don't know, Zach from Mythos and I are pretty good buddies, and his pedals he's got a great ear. He can really dial stuff in nice. I love his pedals. The Friedman stuff is cool. you know.
Mm-hmm.
The JHS stuff, I really dig what he's done with the Andy Timmons pedals. Those are awesome. His collaboration with Boss on the Angry Driver that's a really cool pedal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw in Robert Keeley with that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Keeley stuff. And Robert's a wonderful dude.
He is.
Great human being.
Yep. I always like to tell the story. I met him, and then an hour later went back to his booth at a show last year. He wanted to leave, do some stuff, so he left me and Richie in charge of his booth for a good 20 minutes. And I'm like, I only met you an hour earlier, but... And he loves Canada, too, so what the hell? Rev Guys, Wampler, and Josh Scott were all at Gearfest in the same tent. Yeah. Yeah, usually they'll try to group everyone together like that. I missed most of them last year. I saw Brian at one point. I didn't get a chance to go up and say hi. And then I missed Robert. I don't think Josh was there last year. Yeah, Dave Friedman is really cool. And you know you're a friend of Dave Friedman's when you walk by and he gives you the finger. That's classic Dave right there. Okay, we'll hold tight for you, Crowbar, so we'll just put the video on pause till you're back. Morning, first day is the time to see it. Exactly, before it gets too crazy, Brian. I fully agree. Phil Mosley, well, hey, well, if you can't trust a Canadian on your booth, who can you trust?
Good point, Phil.
I like that. And Zim's Guitars, good to see you. Have I heard the Pussy Melter? I have not. Well, I've seen some demos of it. I haven't tried one.
It's a cool pedal. It sounds good. Yeah, I've got the schematic for it. It's an interesting design for sure. Yeah, worth the hype. Is anything worth that amount of hype? Really? Yeah. I mean,
exactly. Metalhead Ibby, did Panama amps drop off the map? As I recall, the owner got really sick for a while there, and I think they kind of went on hiatus. But I heard there's been some restructuring going on. I haven't heard anything in a couple of months, but I remember the Tone King was talking about it a couple of months ago. There's some restructuring going on there. Thoughts on the super amp that Keeley collaborated with? I didn't play it. I'd heard it. Sounded pretty damn good.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't know too much about that one. I'll have to look that one up.
Yes. Let's see. And I actually Way Huge. Okay. I don't know what's up with Way Huge pedals either. I don't know if they're still in business or just on hiatus or what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know either. Great stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Way Huge stuff. Yeah. Brian Stewart says he's waiting for the fuzzy nipple.
I was like, well, I'm wearing a tank top, and no, I'm not going there. I'm not Quentin. Go on Quentin's channel for that stuff. I have a Twin 12 Panama cab that I like a lot. It was really great buy. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, exactly, BC Rich. That's my understanding. I'm obviously paraphrasing. See, Terry's noodling on his acoustic while watching and listening. Awesome. Isn't Way Huge part of Electro-Harmonix? No, I don't think so.
No, the main designer for Way Huge, I think, used to be at Electro-Harmonix. I think that's the connection.
Right.
But I don't think they're part of Electro-Harmonix.
For them. Which it's escaping me who it is right now, so I don't want to say wrong names. Let's see, there's a European car model that they released, not realizing the name in one of the languages meant quite the opposite. Nobody bought that car. They changed the name after. Yeah, Chevy, I think, did that, actually. Metalhead Hippie has some Way Huge pedals. Yeah, Richie has one on his board. All right, see ya, PJ in the Beard. Thank you for stopping by. Awesome. Leave a thumbs up, please. or anyone else, if you're logged into YouTube and you haven't already, please leave a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Yeah, they could have been part of under the Dunlop umbrella. Way huge.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they are. The last time I looked, I think they were under the Jim Dunlop.
Right. And yes, thank you, John Parson, the Chevy Nova. Jeez, I should have known that. We had a Nova growing up. And Carter Zeitz is back. See, it's all fluid. Somebody leaves, somebody comes back. What do you like to use for picks? Oh, there's an interesting question.
Oh, very nice. Let me see if I've got some here. So I have used the Purple Jazz Tordex Jazz 3 for probably 30 years. A buddy of mine at the time, my favorite guitar center in San Jose. I remember walking in and he's like, dude, you got to try these picks. And handing me a handful of them, and that was 1987. So there, I've used them ever since. I have kind of, you can't really see what this one is because it's all worn out, but basically the Jazz 3, but the white, which I think is just thicker.
Okay.
I've been using those lately too. Yeah, those are my favorite picks. The Ultex stuff is nice, just too expensive. And so for me, because of the way that I pick, the pick material means a tremendous amount to me. Something that doesn't chirp when I hit the string. Something is not flexible, right? Because I tend to flex with my technique rather than holding the pick stiff and having the pick flex when I strum. I'll do this and then tighten up the grip so when I do the single notes that it's like stiffer. So when I'm picking any of the stubbies, that type of material, that harder material, it chirps and it drives me crazy. So the Tordex, specifically the purple and the white, it doesn't chirp enough to drive me crazy. I wear through them pretty quickly. Generally, a pick will last me about 6 hours, and then I got to toss it or resharpen it.
Yep. I hear you on that. I'm terrible at them too. I think it's because I attack at about a 25-30 degree angle at the strings, so it's just shredding down the edge in no time.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's see here. We did kind of cover it. Metalhead Hippie was asking your most metal pedal. I'd say the 87, hands down. On the red channel, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and Terry did confirm Dunlop has way huge. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. I don't know. Is there a pedal that cuts the sound but keeps the power 100% so you can play in a room and the landlord still smiles when he takes your money? Well, I guess it depends more on the amp you're playing through, right? Because it's the amp that's going to be your minimum volume.
Yeah, if you're using pedals, you should be able to play at quiet volumes with those.
Yeah, because you can just turn down the level quite a bit on a pedal. You can always spot the bedroom players that come out to play for one of the first times because you look and all the pedals, the levels are like 9 o'clock.
Right.
Everyone commenting on various picks. I used to use just regular Tortex 1 mils forever, and then I scooped up a lot of picks at NAMM, so now I use a lot of white Tortex picks because that's what the people had out on their displays. And they make for better pick slides. I will admit, a thinner pick, harder for me to play with, but much better for pick slides.
So Brian was bringing up the JHS little black amp box.
Mm-hmm.
That particular box is a passive volume control, and there's quite a few of them. For a while, they were all the rage on eBay. It's a passive volume control that you put in the effects loop of the amp. What it does, it gives you a second master volume.
Okay. It seems to me Rich built something like that to put into his effects loop. Yeah. He used it for 1 gig and kind of cooked his power tubes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds like you might have made something different.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. It didn't last, and yeah. Yeah, I think that was the same night. Yeah, he had a guitar that wouldn't stay in tune, and he commented, he goes, it was the only time in my life I was going to, throw my guitar out front of the stage, and then throw my amp right along with it. Ah, good question. Metalhead Hippie says, does Lawrence hang with Phil McKnight? Well, I met Lawrence when he was standing next to Phil McKnight. And actually, I think the first time I saw you was on a Hangout with Phil. I think you were over at his place co-hosting one day.
Yeah, we hang a bit. We'll go grab lunch every once in a while. Phil and I we're friends, yeah, for sure. He and I have been both crazy busy since January, so I haven't hung with him too much in the last few months, but yeah.
Janice just uses her thumb to pick, but she's waiting for a pick in the mail. Okay. Is it a Quentin James pick? Because you better watch it with those.
You never know where they've been.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Aaron is still on, but I was going to show some mock-ups of faceplates that I've been working on for some upcoming, for the limited run stuff. So there's this one. Let me see if I can get it without the glare on the screen. So there's that one. And
I gotta present you, because that way I can ooh and ah and it won't switch to me.
Right. You can't really see on that one so much, but the eye on the little vermin is gold too. So
nice.
Yeah, and then this one, which is, you could guess what the other one was. This one is it's my kind of the Dumble lead channel kind of thing. That one's called the Howie. That one, hopefully that one will be sometime this summer. Going to do some limited runs for the rest, summer, and before I get
4 hours. About time you made it. Yeah, that rat. When you showed me that, I'm like, oh my, because yeah, I've always had a soft spot for rats. I blame the McMorris influence. Not gonna lie. Let's see. Will says, one of the guitar centers by me are terrible. I was going to buy a Strat. I agreed to buy it, $1,200. I wanted some picks. They tried to sell them to me. He wouldn't budge on free picks. Wow. I did something similar about that too. I remember I was working on a deal at a pawn shop for a guitar, and I think it came down to throwing in a pack of strings. And he's like, you'll walk away from the deal for a pack of strings? I went, yep. Okay, William De Silva wants one of them dumbles. I'll be watching for those. Awesome. Yes, I always say, folks, definitely follow Lawrence on Instagram. It's a great place to see sneak previews and stuff, and definitely keep an eye on his reverb store.
Yeah, the Instagram thing is where I debut all kinds of stuff there. That's my main social media outlet. I don't do Facebook or anything else, just the Instagram. Yeah, pictures. Usually you can see the prototypes. Those I usually put pictures of those up. And
yep. Yeah, you're pretty open book about that stuff.
Yeah, it's not rocket surgery.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then usually when he puts out those teaser pics, he gets a text from me within 5 minutes. Ooh, what's that? Tell me more.
Yeah. I've got a buddy who's got a recording studio locally. He does the same thing. He'll send me a pic of whatever I put up on Instagram. He's like, hey, what's this?
Let's see, Mozzie, my new PRS I bought on Friday, I managed to get over 5% off a free setup and new strings. Sweet. Bryster, here's all I know. If you can get a Dutchman, you probably should do that. Yeah, do you have an approximate timeline on when the production version will come out? Because I know the pre-production tease, that was gone in no time.
Yeah, they sold out in just a couple of hours. I don't have an idea on the production yet. I may end up doing another pre-production run of 10. There's been enough interest that I know that those would probably go pretty fast too. So I'll keep everybody posted on Instagram. If I have another one coming up, I'll make sure that I put them up there. And it's just, first come, first serve, whoever jumps in first.
Brian's like, you better hurry up and demo the Dutchman before I do. Wink, wink. Well, if it wasn't shipped to England this weekend, I probably would have.
If it wasn't in a pub in London currently.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike Bradley is gigging with it as we speak. I just know it. Oh, thank you, Terry. 90 minutes. Okay, 64 watching and 46 thumbs ups. Awesome. Yeah, Heathrow, Brian. It was funny. We literally both took screenshots and texted each other at the exact same time today. Because I'm like, check this out. And by the time it said delivered, I had already received a text from Lawrence with basically the same photo. And I'm like, yep. It was weird. It was just the timing. That was so funny today. Jasco, yes, please do that. I'll definitely buy one. Okay. Interesting. Jason Wade says, who would be the person that Lawrence looks to as a mentor / inspiration for your own passions?
That's a very good question. There's several hundred awesome guitar players in the world that I find different ones daily for getting my butt in the seat to practice. Hell, just watching RJ play a couple of videos is enough to make me go pick up my guitar.
Tell me about it.
He's amazing.
Yes.
So,
versatile.
Yes, very. So for playing, that's I lots of guys that I find everywhere. Just sit down and watch him play, and I'll just go, yep, got to go practice. For designs, that one's different. I tend to not look outside for that stuff. I probably should more. It would save me a little bit of time, because there's been a couple of times that I have come up with rough designs that someone else had already done. Not only filled the void, but done a great job at it. So, but yeah,
Okay, Will Varela, do you want to open that can of worms? And no, I didn't take any offense, because it's the truth. Craig had asked, isn't Instagram owned by Facebook? And I said, yeah. And she said, yes, it's like Facebook's more efficient sister. And my sister is way more efficient than I am in life. And then Will Varela says, tell Lawrence not to say Ace is his favorite guitar player. LMAO. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see. Yeah, exactly, Brian. He's like, Will, now you're just bringing it on yourself. And Paul says, been through both. Yeah, I don't know. And certainly, yeah, Brian, you mentioned zip code. It's actually a postal code for us, because we're like England. In fact, we have postal codes. And yeah, nothing the same. That's the weird part. That was literally, I don't know what happened. I think that, honestly, that package probably was lost for about a week, it seems. Then they picked it up and put it in the wrong cargo container. Philly, if any of you guys are in the Thorold area, check out Mike's Music. Good friend of mine, excellent service. Interesting. That is northwest of Toronto. I only know that because there's a racetrack for auto racing in Thorold as well. I think Varney Speedway is up around there, if I'm not mistaken, Phil. Zim says, did you get your yo-yo? I have not yet, but mail's slow. I do appreciate that, though, Zims, and it will be going right up in here somewhere. After I play with it, of course. Zims has some yo-yos he was giving away, and I'm like, hell yeah, I want a yo-yo. I think I gave all mine away. I'll even do a demo on it, too. Why not, right? Merrittville Speedway. Thank you, Philly. I thought so. For my days involved with auto racing, which started my hearing loss, and then, you know what? Guitar playing just took over. Ah, there's a question. So when you go and hang out with Phil at his place, which guitar and amp do you like to try?
Which one? He's got there's a reclaimed PRS that he has that is amazing that I like to play. I haven't been over lately, so I guess I'd love to play his new Ibanez AZ.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I really, really want to play through that new JJ Mini, that Friedman JJ Mini. So
it's amazing. I played through one of them at NAMM, and I was just like, oh my. Janice doesn't like Instagram because everything has to start with a photo. That's all it is, Janice. It's just photos. With all the soldering you do, what kind of fans or filtration do you use? Huh. A technical question right there.
Yeah, thanks, Dale Palmer. I use a carbon filtration system. Basically, it's bench mounted. And I can move it around and put it next to the work so it sucks the fumes through the carbon filter. That's what I use when I'm soldering to keep the fume inhalation to a minimum.
Right. Kirk R has to head out. That was someone I missed saying hello to earlier. Kirk, sorry about that. Have yourself a great night. See you next time. Hope to see you back tomorrow night. I myself, when I solder, I literally have a window right behind my bench I'll crack open. Because you don't want to be breathing in flux and such. That's not good for you. Good. Motor City Axemen, good to see you. The dog putt, okay, coming in like a storm. A friend's grandfather used to say, you can't dance and you're too short for yo-yo.
That's a rough life there.
Yeah. Exactly, Phil. No drama, no politics on Instagram. That's a great thing about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, awesome. All right, keep those questions coming in if you can, folks. We'll probably go for another 15 minutes or so, and some great stuff here. Jason Way says, by the way, tell Lawrence I still love my modern classic and will not be you will not be receiving it back.
Jason, that's good to hear. That's
a great pedal.
One of my favorite pedals. Yeah, I've got too many favorites. That's the problem. Well, it's not a problem for me. I build them, so.
Yeah. Okay, Janice follows Todd on Instagram. Nice, nice. Todd Flowers says there's still politics on Instagram. Yeah, but it seems to be more like tone politics and stuff. Hey, check out my Telly. Put humbuckers in it and get a Les Paul. Can I copyright the word will? Yeah, just contact Gene Simmons. He'll set it right up for you. He can copyright anything. What are your favorite soldering stations? That's a good one. Me personally, my soldering iron, I paid $5 at an automotive flea market for in 1991. So I should probably upgrade.
I use there's a local company called Circuit Specialists here in town that I've been using for a long time for just basic parts that if I need them locally, and they have some great soldering stations. I've got a 75 watt that has three power presets, 3 heat presets. It's a digital control, so I can see what temperature I'm using. And auto sleep mode, auto shut off. Yeah, great station. That's the one I use.
Jasco says he was born in 1991. So my soldering iron might be older than you, bud, because it was probably new old stock when I bought it. Craig Tomlinson asks, are the soft switches optical switches?
They are not. They are not. They are just your standard momentary switches.
There we go. Philly G asks, price range of your pedals. I'll answer that one because he's in Canada and I have reverb set to Canadian prices. I've seen basically 175 to about 375 for your super high-end multi-function. So definitely in the same realm as any other boutique high-end pedals. Like, you know, I'll say bang for the buck. You can get something as good as a Friedman and save yourself 40 to 60 bucks for a comparable pedal. Because Friedman pedals aren't cheap in Canada.
So John Parsons asked me if I use any SMT parts, which SMT, for those who don't know, is surface mount technology. Only if I have to. Unfortunately, a lot of the TO92 profile JFETs have gone away and are the only thing that I can get is surface mount. And I do those, and I hand solder them, which is, you know, in the beginning, it was lots of fun. But now that I've gotten good at it, it's just like soldering anything else. But I try to stay away from them if I can. But obviously, some things that's my only option, so I'll use them then.
Sure. Wilmar was asking, any germanium fuzzes?
I have one that I built for myself.
Which goes into my next question, because Joe Hervey was like, does Lawrence ever build just for himself?
I do.
Like, why not?
Yeah, right. Occasionally I'll build for myself. I have a fuzz face, a germanium fuzz face that I built that has an input impedance control on it, and a sag control. Yeah, it's one of my favorite fuzzes. The biggest issue with germanium fuzzes is finding those obsolete germanium transistors. Again, they're hard to find, and when you do find them, they're pricey. So,
right. Crowbar says your website is like a candy store. Hey, and there's Absolute Mayhem, one of my partners in crime. Good to see you, buddy. Saw you spending time with the grandkid out cutting grass today. Some great photos. Let's see. Brian asked Lawrence what his favorite boutique pedal he has or had that he didn't build.
My current, let's see, that I didn't build. Probably the Sir Eclipse.
Nice.
Currently. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see here. Paul asked Lauren, any plans to produce or interest in making a pedal amp like those guys in New York City, you know, 0.22 or 44 watt Trainer Dark Horse, but better.
So if I'm understanding correctly, like a pedal platform amp?
That's what I'm thinking.
Is that what you're thinking? I haven't. You could, obviously, but I don't know. I tend to aim, like, my baseline model for my pedals to go into is probably going to be like the Hot Rod Deluxe. That's probably the most popular tube amp out there. So, and a lot of backlines are made up of those amps. So, you know, if you've got one of my pedals on your board, it's going to sound consistently from backline to backline because that's just what they're designed to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Unless you're a high profile artist, you can't request like, oh, I need a silver face twin. You're like, whatever, you're getting a Hot Rod Deluxe, dude. There we go. And Brian's just explained the Sir Eclipse is a 2-channel overdrive distortion pedal. Awesome. Craig hates the idea of hand soldering. Yeah, I'm not a fan either, but you do what you gotta do until we get those robots and clones out there.
Well, you know, my other option would be to have the circuit boards built in China. I don't want to do that.
Nope. Exactly. And Zach, yes, I agree. The weather has been amazing. I think we only had rain one day this week after about a month straight of raining at least part of the day. Mid to high 70s, a nice breeze, so the humidity isn't totally getting to you. Do you or did you ever modify amps or maybe make harnesses for them? Or in the future, or just staying with pedals? Blank palette. Lawrence started out doing some amp stuff before pedals. Actually, quite a few pedal guys started out in amps. I remember.
Yeah, it's a good place. I mean, I've been a tube amp guy since the very beginning. Other than my lovely PV Studio Pro 40 that I had when I first started out, I went right to a Marshall. As a matter of fact, my first Marshall was a 1974 50-watt head. So, that's another wonderful story, I suppose. So, like everybody did in the 90s, well, like most everybody did in the late 80s, early 90s, I went to Rack Gear and sold my 74 head. And then, 25 years later, I decided to see if I could pick up something to replace it, get in. And I found Tony Crank here locally had a 1981 JCM 800 50 watter that he was selling that I picked up off of him. And it didn't sound exactly like I remembered my old one sounding. So I started doing some modification and tinkering with it. And that's actually what started the whole amp thing. Again, you do these things and then you want to show people, hey, look, this thing sounds great, doesn't it? And you show your friends and then they're like, yeah, can you make me one? And well, then, then I have an amp business. So yeah, lots of mods, lots of mods. Yeah.
Sure. Let's see. Jasco, combo amp or head and cab? Any thoughts? I gig with combos now up until I stopped gigging recently, but I use combos just for space saver, both loading in the vehicle as well as on stage. But honestly, it's better to have a head and cab because eventually you do rattle the chassis loose in combo amps if you're really pushing them. And I've actually rattled amps apart on stage.
Yeah, for me, I've always been a head and cabinet guy. I've got a couple of combos that I use and that I have used, but I always liked the back when I was still touring, it was you had to have a half stack, right? Granted,
Yeah.
that kind of dates me as how long ago that was, but
Minimum half stack.
Yeah, especially for hard rock and metal stuff. It was all about the look thing too. So that's kind of where that all stemmed from.
Exactly.
But I like combos. They're good. They just because everything is in the same cabinet, they tend to rattle themselves apart.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's something loose in my Fender combo after about 2 or 3 years of gigging. It's not noticeable until you turn it down to like a bedroom volume and you can hear something rattling a bit, and I'm just like, it doesn't appear physically loose too much. I'm not too worried about it. It still works. Mayhem asks, is there an elusive sound you've been trying to get from a pedal?
Always. That's kind of what keeps me going. If I nailed it all down, I'd probably just be, I don't know, on to, designing spaceships or something. Getting convincing, it's not sound as much as it is feel for me. Because I try to bring everything that, if you're trying to get a 100-watt plexi into a pedal, the sound of it isn't quite as difficult to nail down as the feel, getting the dynamics and the way that the amp breathes and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm constantly working on improving, my designs that I've already got. So if I can get more out of them and get them more realistic, then, try to do that too.
Sure. Let's see. Will Varela says, you see, if it wasn't for channels like yours on YouTube, I wouldn't have learned anything about pedals and amps, plus Lawrence Petross rocks. Thanks. You rock, Will.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah. Had a great, he and I had a good hour-and-a-half phone call this week. It was great. He was telling me stories. I was telling him stories. Man, I laughed a lot. It was great. Let's see. After how many years would you recap a solid-state amp? They're typically lower voltage amps than tube amps. but do the same age limits apply?
Craig, the same age limits do apply, just because the caps are pretty much all the same. Those electrolytic aluminum electrolytic capacitors, they tend to well, the old ones could last 30 years, no problem, but the newer ones, usually they're good for 15 years, something like that. So if the amp is starting to push 15, 20 years, it's probably a good idea to look into it. Granted, the secret to keeping your caps healthy is just to make sure that the amp is powered up frequently. That keeps the electrolytic happy, and they don't dry out, they won't leak. Sometimes they'll leak, but generally they don't dry out, and they can keep going for a lot longer. But if you're starting to notice any kind of hum or anything like that, yeah, it's probably time to replace them.
Awesome. And there's good friend and roadie Mark Taft showed up in the chat. Good to see you, Mark. He was helping me shoot some videos this week.
Yeah, case in point, I've got a 1987 Randall RG100 that's never been recapped, but I turn it on about once a month. So it doesn't have any more hum than it did when it was new. So
note to self, I'm going to fire up all my amps this week.
Right?
Because I just realized, yeah, some of them haven't been fired up in ages. Let's see here. Aaron says 58 watching, 54 thumbs ups. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Thank you, guys. You guys ever use iStomp? I have one. What do you think? I've never tried one, I don't think.
I haven't either. That's the programmable. You can get in and program all of the via software, right? Okay. Basically, I think it's it might even be digital modeling. I'm not 100% for sure about that, but that's where you can actually it actually models the different effects. Great concept, fantastic concept. Never tried one though, so I can't say.
And there's Daniel Horsley. He says I'm really late to the party. Hey Daniel, yeah, we're going for a few more minutes. Dogpa says, the smell of old caps going. Dan, New Jersey, I make a point of rotating my amps currently using the trainer. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing because this PV I haven't fired up in 2 years. And I want to fire it up because it's probably going out the door in a couple of weeks. Depending on A, if he can fit it in his car, and B, if his girlfriend will allow him to bring another amp home. What gear am I gassing for the most? That's a good question. Honestly, right now, Lawrence Petross pedals, because we've been talking about them, so that's front and center in mind. And I've been writing music to use literally for the demos and such, so I'm really looking forward to that. Other than that, I myself, obviously there's the stuff that's always on the back burner. Like I want a B-bender Telly at some point. A lap steel, a pedal steel. How about yourself?
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything that I'm really gassing for. I would like to check out the Ibanez AZs. Those look very cool. I would love to have, but would never buy, one of the 30th anniversary Ibanez Paul Gilberts, the new PGs that I saw. They were at Winter NAMM. Yep. That was very cool. Trying to think everything. Yeah, I have most of the stuff that I want, love, and enjoy. So gas isn't a problem for me very often, fortunately. And if it is, generally I just go build it. So
right. Todd says, yeah, you mean both on the B-bender or a G-bender. Yeah, actually, I'd probably be more better off with a G-bender because that's what I mimic now. And looks like William's got to head out. He's going to fire up the barbecue. I'll be over. I like my burger done in medium, please. Thank you. Let's see. B-benders are cool. Lap steel would be awesome too. Yeah. I've always wanted a lap steel or a pedal steel since I was a kid. I just thought they were so intriguing. And then when I started hearing some guys running their pedal boards with a lap steel, or a pedal steel, I was just like, oh my, okay, I got to get one of them. They're crazy. Oh, interesting. Metalhead Hippie says, check out George Gress out of Alaska, handmade guitars out of local reclaimed woods. Awesome. Will Varela has gas every day, just saying, well, that's because you're old, dude. I kid because I love. Todd has a lap steel. Oh, okay, I'm jealous. Electrolytic caps are easy to replace. Yes, as long as you know what you're doing.
Yep, plus goes to plus.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, yeah. Certain components, you know, you put them in backwards, you're going to get a bit of a smell. You never want to put a capacitor in backwards.
Yeah, the magic smoke will come right out.
Yeah.
Plus, lots of other good goo.
Yeah, and could be a violent explosion at times, too.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is, it is. Pedal steel is too complicated for me, Todd says. What? You only have to use both hands, both feet, and one or both knees. So it's not, you know, that's not too complicated. Come on. Check out the Hex Henderson for some cool pedal steel stuff. I will, Brad. Cool. Awesome. Well, we are just about at the top of the hour. Do you have anything else you want to add tonight, Lawrence?
No, I think I'm good, Ben. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. And thanks, everybody, for all the great questions. It was a great show.
Yeah, we've got some amazing questions tonight. I know I got a lot of positive feedback after the last time you were on. Like, a lot of guys were saying, you know, that was the best show yet. And, you know, and I thought, well, you know, it's as much the folks in the chat feeding us this material, which is awesome. But, yeah, definitely we'll do it again sooner, if not later. It's always a pleasure hanging out. And definitely, again, amazing people in the chat. Again, if you're new, please subscribe, leave a thumbs up. Check out Lawrence's gear on reverb.com. Also follow him on Instagram. And check out his YouTube channel, too, because there's some cool demos on there. And, yeah, that's pretty much it there. Other than, you know, tune back in approximately 22 hours for Canucks with Guitars. I may be solo. I may not be solo. We'll see how that goes. And, yeah, great. So if you just want to hold the line, Lawrence, and as I always say, folks, hold those doors open. Let that guy in ahead of you in traffic. Do good things, and good things will happen to you. Karma's real. I'm living the dream. Lawrence is living the dream. You should live the dream, too. Have a great night and be good to each other, folks.